Good morning and welcome. I couldn't quite believe what I seen on social media this morning. Newcastle's first pre-season fixtures have been announced. We're going to Australia on Sunday, and at the end of July we are going to Japan. We are heading to Saitama and we are heading to Tokyo as we are taking on the Red Diamonds and Yokohama on our first two pre-season friendlies. Australia and Japan in 2 months, are you kidding me? That is so much airtime. But honestly though, I'm looking forward to going there. Yes, I will be going there straight away to answer your questions. Do I honestly need to answer that at this point? But yes, I will be in Japan, and I can't wait to see how things look in terms of Newcastle's fan base over in Asia, because it's quite an interesting market to go down. Of course, when Newcastle plan pre-season now, they always look for opportunities where it's getting organised by someone else, because when it's a Premier League, for example, in America last season, when it's in this case, it would be the J League organising it. They pay for everything for Newcastle, so in an FFP point of view, you aren't spending any revenue on pre-season. And on top of that, any money you make over there, for Australia, when I go there on Sunday, we've actually got an exclusive kit that we'll be using there just for Australia, which means that we can make extra money. And it's just a case where Newcastle will look to go to these mental places because it's good PR for them, it's good to build out a global brand, and it's also good for experience, got experience for the players. If you're playing European football, it's just going to different places and playing matches in front of different environments and different temperatures. So it'll be an interesting experience. I'm looking forward to it. And just to let you know as well, in terms of the Japan marketing, the 3 players that were illustrated and shown in the market was Isak, Bruno and Gordon, who of course are the 3 players that always pop up on social media in terms of potential players that could be sold. So the fact that that's being marketed by Newcastle might be a little bit of a dig towards the media online. It might be someone that gives you the head up. But we do have quite a lot in terms of transfer news. Of course, we do have quite a lot going on today. So I feel like it's best in this video to get through it all. But I'd like to start off with some positive news there. We are going to Japan. It is our first 2 pre-season matches. I cannot wait to see how things go over there. Let's start off by talking about the current goalkeeper situation in Newcastle, because there's going to be a lot of areas of this team that are going to be getting rebuilt over the summer. And straight away, with Martin de Bradgate and Loris Karius both expected to leave the club once the summer window opens, straight away Newcastle have got a brand new strategy where we're actually going to be going out there and signing free agents, bringing in players that are going to be losing their contracts in the summer, and just getting players in straight away, so then Newcastle can look at FFP sales, player sales, and then we can go out there and buy players for the money that we have, and that's when we'll make our key marquee signs. But for now, just bringing players in for depth, or bringing in players that have even got a bit of value to them. And in this case, they are actually looking at Southampton goalkeeper McCarthy. Of course, yeah, it's former England national, someone that it's a bit dependent on what happens to Southampton, because straight away, if Southampton get promoted, will this guy decide to sign a new contract at that point? I don't know if he's already 100% made his mind, 100% want to leave the club. But it has been reported that Newcastle is heavily interested in signing the goalkeeper. And for me, smart choice. He's obviously not going to be number 1 at Nick Pope. You'd be sitting behind him as a number 2. I think he's a good goalkeeper. But the issue being is that what he wants? Does he want to be number 2 again? Does he not mind being number 2 but being at a much bigger club or a team that will be potentially in European football at that point? Or is it a case that he just wants regular first team football elsewhere? And with the likes of Celtic, I mean, I think he would be first choice at Celtic, because Joe Hart's going to be retiring, isn't he? So at Celtic, he would actually be first choice as far as I'm aware. Like to Liverpool, of course, he'll be back up again. Newcastle would be back up. So it just depends what he wants. Is he happy being at Celtic? Obviously going to be a Champions League team, you would have thought, if not a Europa League team, and then being number 1 there. Or would you prefer to be playing much better standard in the Premier League and then being number 2? It's an intriguing prospect, but he's a good goalkeeper. If Newcastle are able to convince him to join us, I think it's a solid choice. And in terms of Newcastle's goalkeepers, straight away, we know Loris Karius is going to be going. He's had a 2-year stint here. He's played twice, won a cup final and won a huge game against Arsenal, so he does like these big matches. Unfortunately for him, it just hasn't worked out in the way that he wanted to. I believe he probably wanted more game time he actually got, when in reality, we all know he was never going to be a player that was going to get game time. And it's just a shame, really, because ability-wise, he's actually quite good, but mentally, he's shot. He is shot from that Champions League final a few years ago. He's never recovered from it. An absolute career ender, that game for him, and it's destroyed him. And it's quite sad to see, because he seems like a decent bloke. I've had a chance to meet him a couple of times. He's just goes about his day just casually. He just goes and does his job, and it's quite a shame to say everything that's happened to him. And secondly, Martin Dubravka's 35 years old now. For me, he does a job. I don't think he's a bad goalkeeper. I think he's all right. But we've got to move on now. I've had this guy for a long time. He's done what he's needed to do at Newcastle. We need to do better than him. And we just need to go out there and get some younger goalkeepers in. And some goalkeepers that we know are going to be with us long term. This is a guy, of course, last season wanted first team football. Went to Man U on loan and got even less game time than he would have at Newcastle. And then he came back into the team. He's got forced in because of a horrible Nick Pope injury. And now it's... case where I think we should let the guy go. So for me, I think both of them will leave in the summer. Gillespie and Pope will stay. Whether we decide to get a player below Pope or above Pope is the question in this case. From what has been made out on social media, it sounds like the Pope will still be our number one, and we're just looking for number two at the minute. Just to update you on everything that's going on with Callum Rose and Alexander Isak, it has been reported by The Athletic that both of them have missed training. Both of them have not been trained ahead of the Manchester United trip. So unless there's obviously BS getting made around on social media, the impression is that we haven't got any strikers going at that game. So it'll be, would have thought, Gordon up front, Barnes left, and then Miggy or Murphy on the right. Surely we've got one of these in for Manchester United. I mean, it's an absolute joke. And how are both our strikers ill? It's not even an injury, they're ill. What are they ill with? Is it contagious? What is going on here? It's just... it's not ideal, is it? We need him for these last two matches. Wilson could not even make the trip against Brighton, whereas Isak made about an hour, looked awful during the game, looked so out of it, and it's a real shame, because I want to see these two play. I feel like Newcastle, we desperately need these strikers here. We need both of them. We need one on the bench or both of them starting. We just need that depth there, and we need both of them to come in now and hopefully end our season on a high. Again, the results are been kind of going on our way somewhat, so we just got to do our job. The game's on our hands. We're playing quite a poor, depleted Manchester United side on Wednesday. We just got to beat them. And the fact that both of them have not been training is not ideal. We desperately need one of them to play against Man U. Hopefully Isak can still, even if it's just half an hour, even if the guy has to sit on the bench, come off for the last half an hour, just do something like that. Just make sure someone can play for a bit of time during that game. And that should hopefully be something that'll go our way. But the fact that both of them are ill at this point in the season, it's never easy, is it? Newcastle can just never make something like this easy. They've always got overcomplicated with something going on or something happening. I just wish in an ideal world it would be a lot simpler, but it's just not. And we're going to have to make sure now in these last two games we get that job done, because this is not going to be easy. And finally, just to finish things off on the topic again of the two centre-halves we are currently trying to sign, Fabrizio Romano has once again spoken out in the media. He would tend to do this quite a lot, by the way. It's almost like a recycled tweet, but he has given out a little bit of additional information which I thought was important to clarify in this video. He said that regardless of the new director, regardless of when a new director comes in for Newcastle, it does not matter. They will still sign this player with or without a brand new director. So a new individual coming in will not dictate Newcastle's signs, or at least in these signings. Again, on top of that, we're looking for both of them. It's not a case that we're just bringing one in. We're actually going to be signing both. My impression at first is I thought we'll only get one centre-half. But the fact that Lloyd Kelly can play left-back and centre-half means that we can class one as a left-back sign and one as a centre-half sign. So quite smart, logical thinking by Newcastle. Opens the doors up for quite a few sales as well. Likes of Matt Target, who hasn't seen a light of day this season. You'd expect the likes of Matt Ritchie to leave. You'd expect Jamal Lewis to leave. You just expect Dummett, these players, these little... what's the word for? Just players that just sit in the club, don't play for us. Just these players, just get them out. It's time to start clearing up a little bit and getting good depth in there, making sure that when we do pick up injuries, suspensions, when players do need a rest, the players that we've got available are more than good enough to play. That's what we need. That's what we need to go in these games, and that's what we need to make sure that we can get regular, consistent European football. And while playing in European football, make sure we can compete on all front foots, make sure we can play 3 times a week and comfortably win these games. So that's what we're aiming for. But not much has came out in regards to those two, to be honest. That was the only information I've seen that is new in this video, the only thing that I thought would be worthwhile talking about. And let's finish things off by just briefly talking about that match tomorrow. So we'll be heading down in the car. If Newcastle draw the game, we are guaranteed top 7. We will finish above Manchester United for the first time in Premier League history. The 2 times we finished second, Man U's finished first. We just never ever finished above these guys. So as long as we get 1 point, we'll finish above them. And it's crucial that we do that. Top 7 football, it's not awful. We've got to rely on the FA Cup final if we finish 7th. So we've got to make sure that City beat United in the final, but none of us, Man U, are going to win the FA Cup final. So it's important we get top 6 football. But if we draw against Man U tomorrow, we are guaranteed Conference League football as long as Manchester City wins the FA Cup final. We are guaranteed European football if Manchester United does not win the FA Cup final. Of course, if we finish 6th, we get Europa League, and we don't have to worry about that. We've got nothing to worry about in the FA Cup final if we get top 6. But 7's there on a play. All we've got to do is get the 1 point, and then we're guaranteed top 7. And then we have to hope for the FA Cup final. But of course, in our hands, 6 points. You do that, we've got top 6. So it's all in our hands to do that. We've got to go out there, show everyone what we can do. Oh, it's a fascinating last couple of games, and we just got to make sure that whatever Isak or Wilson can play. I can't believe that both the strikers are ill. How are both the strikers ill? It's nobody else in the team as well. It's just the 2 players are ill, or the 2 strikers that we have, the only 2 strikers that we have. I don't know how that's happened. What a horrible coincidence that is. It's just came at the worst possible time. So hopefully one of them is well enough to play tomorrow, or at least get half an hour off the bench or something, and then one of them can hopefully come back for Sunday. But I mean, it's just mental, isn't it? We never ever make this easy, do we? It's always some mess around thing. It's just a nightmare. So let's go out there, let's do our thing, let's make sure we do not lose tomorrow. Go down to Old Trafford and let's show Manchester United why they're on such a state now. Let's show them what we can do. Let's show them why we deserve to be in the top 7. Come on, you mags.